Everyone,
Hello.
can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, our group is group 7. So, first of all, behalf of our group, I would like to say good morning to all the staff, guests, and member of ETSI, and all the fellows. Next.
Kona ruga keba yins, ruga tutumba yins re. Chene kanga samdi tashi le shuya yins, ani de kena namba suta ni chilo ne lopina genta. Ani de yo kanga samdi tashi le shuya yins.
So, our group research is about relationship between the breathing meditation on the sleep. Next.
And kona ni shimju gi chubadi ani ujungu gi komta ani ni paru dewa tayar.
The reason we choose this particular research is because in this materialistic world, so many peoples are going through so many mental problems due to the lack of sleep or insomnia, or due to the lack of sleep or due to the mental problem which lead to a lack of sleeps. It's like loop.
Chene kona di shimju gi chubadi tol taya takwaya junzen kare sinna tanda ki tayo ngazu ki zamling di nalo la chik ngusu mawe ani langcho ta ngusu mawe ani la len ta tacho di shushimbu shuji ta tende ki tenche ni ani semkam mateba ta semkam mateba di tenche ni ni ma tebe yongaya ta di ani chende ki kyo mangu chi tangi yu san tende yuzen tone ani di tol tebi nis.
So our purpose is to spread the relationship between spread the importance of sleep and how to improve the sleep qualities.
Today is kuna jimi yuto de ani ni biga di yar taya ni biga yar taya ta ni yunche di ani ring taya da de mi is.
So regarding to all these facts, our question is: does doing breathing meditation help the sleep qualities?
Today is ani ne ju di tu kyab jong sha be to ne ko ju ani shimju gi chiba di ani u jung u kom gi ani ni biga yar tang gi be sen taya de is.
So with this regard, our hypothesis is doing single-pointed breathing meditation for 15 minutes before bed will improve the sleep qualities.
Today is kuna ju social line de ka lam is na ni ma bu kon de kam chong e ringa u jung u gi ani se chi be mi kom jabi na ani ni biga shira yar tang gi du sen ti social lam is.
So our next speaker is Mr. Thargela.
토말라 참다시 딜레 아니 ngarawng tiri siya jeji de ani ngaso di nyangji di jojong di ati ani ta thoma ani cheri gi thoni jojong di shiba ina ani tela ngaso di ta jeji isha sena mane tende ani shitsi ji ma ani ner yayo ani tenong ta ki tse mombo mango thoni ta ji hindu ji shiba ina
Oh, sorry. He is going to touch on the background of this research enterprise. And with regard to that, they looked up into existing literature on this area, and they found several in the scientific world who looked into this. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but to summarize them.
아니 다당가서 디 째찌비가 아니 감 답변아 아니 제 온중고 있는다리 아니 전반예제 가 있는다리 다 던지기 토니 아니 녀지 가서 디 준리데 가르쳐야 있나 아니 이제 니돈데 강가 요 같아서 아니 이제 녀른도 왔다 하바데 아니 지니 크엘라 칼리코 용인데서 아니 이제 편도 쇼칭 요와 안텐데 장요
So all of these scientific materials, uh, scientific literatures that have looked into this area have almost one common thing to say, in that they have seen how any type of one-pointed meditation, be that on breathing or any other object, when cultivated well, it seems to enhance the quality of sleep, both in terms of how long one can sleep and then the quality while one is asleep.
아니 대인데 아니 지 루산라 아니 대통 ngasotowadan 아니 영가도라 아니 돈린치가 아니 누가 아니 토른도야 아니 양 가서 디 소수고 남지가 아니 상당도 뜻소 아니 지 종출은 저원도데 아니 양원 가서 미니라 소비 던지기 아니 찐 가시 아니 녀른도야 던지기 아니 니선장 여셔이.
So from these researches, what they have found is these one-pointed meditations, be that of any particular form, such as on breathing, etc., seem to positively impact quality of sleep in all fronts, and through that, it seems to have positive positive impact on the mental and physical well-being, as well as improving the level of resilience, as well as their positive attitude, their outlook towards life.
아니 가시 넘버 쪽에 연티골 아니지 댄서 어떤데 아니 친디 요이나 아니 다다도 제선도 아니 영혼도 그다지 자치대 아니 될 아니 될다나 아니 친도 레셔이.
Those who are interested in knowing further about these researches and their findings and the methods that they apply, etc., we have on the slide, on the screen, provided the link that you could click on and then find more.
아니 노주부터는 다 저정도 쉬어이나 아니 될 아니 친제게 랑제동 아니 진짜 타노서지 랑제 드리지 요시이.
So from these Buddhism point of view, from the Buddhist angle, in terms of a background, in terms of the existing literature pointing towards this kind of a hypothesis is, and I'm going to do that by quoting two particular texts, both of them in the Abhidhamma genre. One is called by Chimjambeyang, and another called Geshe by the first Dalai Lama.
아니 다 동부 아니 가서 진짜 타노서지는 가르성에서는 아니 니세데 산농도 디바스 드니절 아니 고고그레스 다 되게 아니 간데 러고도스나 산농도 디바스디 다 산초를 아니 트로데데 아니 까와 드니지 아니 땡도스.
So in the commentarial work that first Dalai Lama did on the Abhidhamma Kosha, there he defines sleep as something that has the function of withdrawing our attention inward, and that explicitly kind of implies that it has this effect of keeping our mind from being distracted in the outside world.
아니 다다 친제 노는 아니 런티기 다 온중은 감사하디 아니 고 된다스나면도 그 고아디 가리리라이나 아니지 논도 님보 논도 가야가 아니지 디게다 가르쳐다 타노스나면도 아니 드니지 아니 상이더스.
In the Chimje, one of the Tibetan writings on the Abhidhamma Kosha, commenting on it by Chimjambe, and there to quote him specifically on the benefit and function of breathing meditation, he pairs it up. He pairs breathing meditation up against the problem, against the problem of being very conceptually taxed and conceptually distracted. So he pairs it up against this kind of odd and says that this is an antidote to mental frenzy and mental disruption.
다니 드니 다니 아니 마지 주당도스나 모두 쇼바이나 아니지 온중 강 되게 아니 태가라 아니지 니 아니지 여보 그야 당 아니지 슈진 성주 용한 아니 태가 슈진 용돼야지 아니 틱팅도스.
So from these two sources, if you combine their message, it comes down to this, that breathing meditation definitely seems to point to have a good impact in enhancing, increasing the sleep quality.
아니 다 somebody 아니 녀녀고 다 저종 티슈바이나 땅에서 아니 지뭘 깨져 트네 지 남진 아니 가르쳐 버다니 줘야 그 진도 간의 용도 러디 아니 열라 유지라 가리임바이나 텔라미바 제제 대바당 아니 지 르산 가리나 아니 헬 법바이나 아니 니 쪽도스 아니 티 투지시.
In terms of another source of background for doing this research, we relied on the experiences, actual experiences of people. We asked people about their actual experience as to what seems to make them go easier into sleep and have a better quality of sleep. Most of them says that if they could bring their mind to attend on one specific object close to the sleep, then that seems to make them more inclined to have a quicker sleep, as well as getting their body kind of to relax and not tighten up, but kind of let go of the tension, seems to help in making them go to sleep faster, as well as have a better quality of sleep.
Trashidiliani, King Tandangi, Tamshiki, Jojitika in Sanangaransu, and a Yamshiki, than the Joji, Nichi President, Winjong Gun, Tetanjevi, Yamshik Tavlang Koreans.
So here I'm to present the methods that we resorted to undertake this research in looking into the relationship between breathing meditation and the impact on the quality of sleep.
And Nathan Yamshik Tavlam de Tavlam Cartinius and any Borsi Shimjuta, Pitsi Shimjuk Tavlam meeting, then any Shimjuk doing the Nimatu means.
So they resorted both on quantitative method as well as qualitative method, and they carried out their research over 6 days.
아니 뭐지 심죽이 탑람 땡당로데 아니 가수 대생이나라 금 자켄다 금 마점키 대생이 치네니 아 니마 투디나니 니마 당부순데라 아 소미순게니 금잡 티니티지니 니마 순게라 아 소미시 금잡 티 토니 아니 당진 So
in terms of undertaking the quantitative research and collecting data out of that, they divided up their own group into two subgroups constituted of 4 and 3 members each, and they alternated in being the control group and the experimental group for during that time.
아니 니마 쭉 디링라 아니 쇼바 타바 아니 단당아주 뜻이 십시 좋았더니 아니 뜻이 다시 집에 인스.
So in all these 6 days, every morning, they made sure that the survey was answered.
단다 뜻이 십시기 아니 니마 쭉 친사위 지라 아니 단다 십시기 렌 좋았다님도 장토 예습기네니 때 트릭나라 밥 아니 마랑 심지기에 좀지 이야기 탑시 집에 인스.
So they collected the survey results at the end of the 6-day period, and they analyzed the data and sorted them out.
아니 니와 단당가 뜻이 심지기 탑람 땡당 로데 가린스나야 아 빛이 심지기 좋아가서 니기 빛이 단제위 심사위원 담에기 저도 돈지니 뛰기 질링이 돈이 다시 집에 인스.
In terms of undertaking the qualitative study, what they did was they again prepared survey questions relating to the conditions such as anxiety, etc., and looked into how doing and not doing the meditation seem to have an impact on those fronts.
되게 따지지나 대야 따라 니마 주기rin라 아니 단다 비치 심지기 좋아 뛰기 찔린스고라 렌 좋아 다님도 뛰기 장토 예십지네 아니 때 맞을까서 제자리 제법이 예십세지도 뛰기 예십기 다투기 나라 팝드지 뛰기 다투디 나라 팝드지 서비스라 아니 이 다투대야 트릭 나라 팝니 심지기 좀디디 라약 탑시키스.
Again, in regard to quality study, they had the participants fill out the survey questions and then collected them at the end of the period. And then what they did was they applied inductive analysis method in sorting through the data and in classifying them.
Tani indi jila ni kasa tumji nisu tangji shifti nisu de nga su gen jahan penso la songi tuji.
Gelana bato ane laudon nama tsumala tsumri tashi dala jato ane terong Asia de katrezana anzo nyen turela ane jamji jibato so ane turil paba me so ane jisha chajes.
So greetings to everyone. I'm here to present the result part of this research that we conducted over 6 days, and that will be explained through the medium of a graph.
Ade ane ngaso de survey to so ya ane nyen ture de janjo to so noni ane kecha andabu ane tegar nyechi piga dondroi ane kecha asamza zat ane turil pawyos.
So in terms of translating their data into graphs, they have been selective in choosing 3 different areas to represent.
Ane in the three in the towel sana pina ane de te ane gamjong do majong keche.
So in regard to this graph, the horizontal axis is representative of those who meditated or not.
Ane jontino yobade ane lenjong ke mi trongadre.
And the y-axis represents the number of people participating in it.
Ane marbadike ane chze ane tuni gebar the nyakanki ane tsache.
The red color code represents the group who had a sleep duration of 6 to 8 hours.
Ngombadege ane jeni tubar tsengre.
And the blue color code represents the group who had a sleep duration of 4 to 6 hours.
Ane gamma jong ke nolola ane chze ane tuni je par the nyakanke nyoache ane tili dote paki gaujong ke nola ane moandus.
So what we found is that from among those who meditated before sleep, there were less who were able to sleep as long as 6 to 8 hours, whereas the number of those who were able to sleep that long or between that time period is found more among those who were undertaking the meditation among the experiment group.
Ane jeni tubar the ane nyakanke de ane gamma jong ke no ane moache ane jong ke no nyoandus.
So by that, what is naturally implicative of is those who fell in the group of 4 to 6 hours of sleep. The control group happens to be more represented in that than that of the experimental group.
Ane tadi teri nyebade god jongke do ane nyukha ki tse jerulung gaso za ane tibarula ane shabdar chinjore.
Okay, so this next slide is looking into the sleep latency aspect of the research.
Ane di ane taki tu chubaji ane tretino yoade ane gao jongke do ma jongke nichi jontino yobade ane len jongke ki miki trongate.
Again, here in terms of the graph representation is the same. The horizontal axis represents those who meditated and who didn't, and then that of the y-axis, the number of participants.
Ane ngombo doka ngombo tegi ane nyukwa tse ane tonto matonga maso lanketich.
As per the color code, the blue represents those who took less time to fall asleep.
아니 머버데 아니 또 증거설랑게
And that of the red color code, those who reported that it took little longer for them to go to sleep.
아니 서버디게 아니 니카 아니 카부졸랑게 디세
And that of the yellow code was those who had real difficulty going or falling asleep.
아니 디노라 아니 감정케 노로라 아니 니콜라 아니 디세 또자마 동거마설랑게 데 아니 미모안도스
So from among those represented in the blue color code bar, which is those who had no difficulties going or falling asleep, the experimental group seems to be more represented in there, seems to fall more in that group.
아니 감정케 노로라 아니 또 증거설랑게 데 아니 감정케 리 아니 모안도스
And from the control group, who didn't meditate before sleep, they seem to fall more in the not that they seem to fall more, but compared with those in the experimental group, the control group seem to be more outdo them in the group that reported some difficulty in falling asleep quicker.
아니 감정케 노로 아니 냐 아니 칼카부정마설랑게 아니 문두스 아니 치데노 감정케 노로라 아니 카부정소게 직종소스
The Tamadra. Okay, and then surprisingly enough, in the group who reported great difficulty going to sleep, there was no one from the control group, but from the experimental group, there was one instance who reported great difficulty in going asleep.
아니 네 안에 다 안에 감정케도 안에 마장케 버데 안에 말로 도메 쳐방 가서 트와데 가르즈나 안에 너고 말로 돈소에라 우디 카시가 안에 몸부 돈소자도 카시 또자마도 도마서 카시가 도마서 존이 도마서자도 카시 땡문들lon게 아니 던디 아니 트와 렌 아니 동가시자니 아니 티기 톰리드레스
So this chart here, the pie charts, they represent the relation. They represent the question of whether or not they had dream, if at all, how much, if little or not at all, and then from among them who could recollect their dream. So the results have been kind of spread out into these four groups.
아니 안디노라 아니 감정케 노로라 아니 말로 몸부 싶어 돈설랑게 아니 자신이시 산도스
So in this subgroup of people with the spectrum of experiences with in regard to sleep, with regard to dream, some 20% among those who had much dream, from some 20% of them happen to be from the control group.
아니 존이 쟁문들랑게 자샤 순시도 아니 또저 돈설랑게 아니 자샤 순시송아 존이 도마설랑게 아니 자샤 정하ren도스
And from among those who said they could not recall their dream came to some 30%, and that who had little dream 35%, and then those who reported no dream at all somewhere around 15%.
아니 감정케는 세나 디노라 아니 또저 동게 자샤 지지니도 아니 존이 도마설상게 니사성 또 차지 아니 쟁문들랑게 자샤 순시소성도 차서레도스
So with regard to the control group who did undertake the meditation before sleep, with regard to that group, those who reported little dream amounted to some 42%, and who reported no dream at all, 23%, and that who said they could not recollect from among the experimental group who could not recollect their dream, some 30%.
아니 감정게 놀러라 아니 마적 게 노요아 노제 아니 몸부터 솔랑게 지으면도스.
So, from the experimental group, there was none who reported they had too much pain.
디엔체데 아니 가서 벌써 점지 아니 점지도 드릴러 봐지. 단디 아니 비세 점지 점지도 드릴러 밤죠.
Up to this is the representation on graph of our results, data collection from the quantitative analysis.
아니 네 가서 아니 빈세 점지 점지도 아니 디 다투 놀마 파자 요스.
So now I'm going to touch on the qualitative study result, and this we have presented both in the bar, in the graph, as well as in this what do you call in this table.
아니 가서 저한테 가르쳐서나 아니 디 젠데니 지피카 돈저이 아니 루츠 텐다 요베스 아니 저한테 티트 요레스.
So among the survey questions in collecting qualitative data, it included a question like whether the participants themselves are subject to any inclination, tendency to anxiety in general.
아니 디노니 아니 미 주저지게 아니 루츠멜라고 두스 미치기 아니 루츠유라고 두스.
So out of the 7, 6 reported having some degree of anxiety, whereas 1 none.
아니 데 가서 다툴 파티 잠발데 아니 제제 돈저시 핀세상고니 루츠유 랑게데 가른저시 자운두스나 아니 상저 용두스 가르레자 상저 용두스 아테니라우두스 저시트.
So in seeking further information on these conditions that they reported by conducting descriptive information, many of them reported being kind of worrisome, and that kind of then seems to kick in some degree of anxiety.
아니 빈세데 아니 녜치디 톤타비 천노 용기요스. 빈세.
And in terms of the quality, it seems to affect the duration of sleep.
아니 니바 루츠메 발랑게데게 아니 인터셰데 아니 서블헬퍼 남진이 요라운두스 아니 젠데 티토데 니용기 요즈네 아니 디 빈세자이스.
So with regard to that one single sample, one single participant subject who said she is not inclined to anxiety on the in general, says that he makes effort in keeping himself relaxed and calm, and that's how he tried to also prepare himself going to sleep, and that's how he's not affected by them.
아니 샬리야 나저 게 바용드지라기 아니 지당 당신 농태.
아니 도말라 아니 겔로요라 아니 ngabgonde delesiis.
To everyone, I'm going to greet them all accordingly, according to their time zone that they're in.
아니 다윈 중기 아니 공자발라 때니 니 주피서 제수 도비 아니 전대근 주도 잡아이나 아니 ngso goma gom자케 아니 저카데 고마자비 저칼레 아니 니 지가 니 퀼라와다 니 지가 데리와다 아니 니냐비 가서 아는 몰로뉴온도스.
So if I have to conclude or summarize the findings from our research, it comes to this, that compared with those who do not engage in meditative practice before going to sleep, those who undertake meditation seem to have a much better sleep quality in that they are able to fall asleep quicker, they have longer duration of sleep, and then their sleep are usually not disturbed by having dreams, etc.
아니 다 제바선라 때니 아니 가르땡도서는 아니 다니 냥년도 아니 까마 쫑아리라 아니 윈중고 고곤자바티 아니 니지고 퓨세데라 아니 제존돈조와 아니 따지지 아니 전데 아니 레바토도 세죠.
So from this, what is the takeaway is that if one could take out 15 minutes before sleep and use that in undertaking one-pointed meditation on breathing, that's surely seems to have a positive impact on the following up sleep quality.
아니 달로시 가르레스는 거죠. 아니 뉴진디 지르라 때니 아니 다 토말 아니 뉴지지 좋아다 아니 세자 제료다 아니 디지니 따지지 름바 아니 존토들의 시라수비 아니 로시 하주 뭐부터 송스.
So what is the insight that we gained from from engaging in this research is that yes, we came to know more about how a research is conducted, about its design, what the hypothesis, what the processes involved in undertaking good research.
아니 다 만두비 차서는 예차 가른도서는 어저 따지 집에 가서 아니 문보가 아니 종카당 아니 다도 변화서 디라수바 아니 변화서 아니 따지 가서 아니 저와라수바 아니 카마사와당 아니 내가 마키비 저 뭐더니 아니 다 만두비 차 뭐진도스야.
But at the same time, if we step back and look back into how we could have done better, there are certain areas that surely could be improved upon. One is expanding the sample of our the sample size of our research, in that more participants could be brought in, and then also undertaking the research for a longer period of time. And then particularly in terms of the survey questions, there's much room for the questions to be refined and fine-tuned and then make them clear and to the point.
아니 다 마울레 차 아니 가스 아니 ndatabiga 아니 따제 집에 가서 아니 ngsoga 다 변화서 따제를 저를 아니 mombo 아니 좀 모르도가도 디 리오도가도 아니 저칼라요 카시보던 아니 내리 키바던 든디가 아니 다 mombo치 아니 레차네와 주에레 도세죠.
So these are the insights that we gained, and we are going to carry it over to our next research, so that the next research would be qualitatively much better on all these fronts where we saw deficiency in this research that we undertook.
아니 다들 아니 로자노 진데셔 신호 고사상의 침보 자병부터 제지 지바 침보 아니 끝에까지 받아 땜바당 아니 튀지 시대 현진제비 면더 시와다 다
And as a way of closing it, I would like to take this opportunity and wishing His Holiness the Dalai Lama a very healthy and long life, and that all of his wishes may be fulfilled.
아니 소윤디 가스니 로트노케지 키오게게 nom바당 아니 기니마비고 로자와 nom바 아니 고디 시케당 레진네무와 용라 아니 투지체동 까드체 투메시지 is.
And would like to take this opportunity in thanking from the depth of our heart, thanking from the depth of our heart to our beloved teachers, the translators, those who were involved in organizing it, and then others who were behind the scene yet playing as important role in making all this happen and go smoothly.
tsuma 투지체 다시 delese.
Okay, so we were thinking we have some time for questions, and these questions can be for any of the presentations over the last 2 days, and we'd encourage you all to ask any questions. I think Pasangla should have a mic, and we can have a bit of a conversation.
tuju leçons ane ta deve nimanieringa de la ruga tuju tamse na ya ta ani nyenje shwe do ko chungure te kange nyamsina che nyamsina sungure sibe ane deve tamse tuju la chindan deve tone ani koncha sungona ani ruga na pijin koncha ina ya fukuchin sungona chen misegi ani begu shwayins
그래서 단단히 디워셔야 돼 가르니스나 가래 나가나지 이게 뷰세 자연도 잠발라 니기 튀는다 아니 여기 뷰세도 도시야죠
체루도
게 답게도 체루
양조수가
디워셔야 돼 가르니스나 단다기 로카디체 근데 가장 로카니스 나노라 니기 뷰세 자연도 잠발라 니기 튀는다 총들 제베토네 니기 뷰세디 센자도스 젠나샤와 아니 도바사야 돼 가르니스나 니기 튀는디 땅 안서 망치와 가르차기 두슬라와 이나 또 드즈직라 냐야체 드즈직라 랑겨와 까브레 마도 탄낭 안서 엘람 직치네 또 드즈직라 랑겨와 디인디 고니기 튀는데랑 안서기 땅진 시겨와 디 제도 니기 튀는디 되메기 규조 차두고도 되메기 규조 차와 인자 아니 니기 가서 니기 튀는라 따바 제베토네 아니 니기 비세 자야디 고 따다 되기 위한 메나세 디오디.
So his question is for the group that just presented and also some two groups who presented yesterday where they dwelled on their question of whether any intervention, any kind of activity or intervention is going to have a positive impact on or any kind of impact on sleep, and as an area to look for that, they looked into how long someone is able to sleep, the sleep duration. So what made me question and wonder about the variability of this, the reliability about this is usually we tend to control our sleep duration, sometimes by even setting alarm and resorting to that. If not, we kind of have this tendency or rather habit of going to sleep at one time and waking up at the same time. So if we, on top of that kind of a habit and establishment, if we conduct our research in this way and then rely solely on not solely relies importantly on the duration of sleep, it doesn't seem to kind of really square out well, because in the way we go to sleep at one point and have this habit of going to sleep and waking up at the same time, sometimes even resorting to alarm, whatnot, then we are turning the sleep duration into an independent variable. And thus, there's no sensibility in relying the data on how long one is sleeping and in terms of how one is determining that.
So I think that that's a really important observation, because one limitation of our research study design is that many of you were the participants, and at the same time we were asking you to be in a workshop and wake up at a certain time.
통난 중에 내가 심부시 됐어. 디 소초진은 단대 고유된데 나올라 넘버 2기 따지 신주기 아니 지기 변세제레스. 디 인당 하려면 따지 넘버 3로 줍주기 열에 따지 조세대 넘버 3에 디자님도 다른 안주 아니 sabjong during the dotigi or a digi still a pave to sing a ya langs house cheguya, Tari cheguya, there is a big changes in the yoris.
We also kept you up very late most nights.
There's some to saying and the sabjong during good we is during good day number so Yenny then yeah maybe super to go we are is gonna catch a contact when two goes on us.
And this is why you do preliminary studies in science, is that they allow you to explore some hypotheses and then refine your experimental approaches so that you can answer the question. I think it's going to be important if we move forward on a research project together that revolves around sleep, that we really think about how we approach both the experimental study and the data collection to overcome that challenge.
아니 지금 10차 대제 아니 가리체다 미제다 대체고다 미 제목고다 이 강가 즉 10차로 토로 주고야지 아니 신에 뭐 당진도 지금 당분에 야고지 제고야지 내가 지금 사디요.
So I just like to make a quick comment on that as well.
Can Robin lagi contagious?
So I was going to kind of make this point and that Nicole was just making, and that was nicely set up by this question.
Can Nicole lagi tinggal kontes semua nasi jadi kan Robin lagi jadi rana semua jadi cerita sendiri, and tanda di coba gue di people mix lagi mix tu coba share lagi, ani tunjuk semua.
So in this workshop, we really tried to define some of the basic foundations of research methods, what different types of variables are that are frequently used in experiments or descriptive research.
Kadang di subject di nalola cik simju da deo ki shite chagen da buta mangsi da kari mi du cik ngenge tada ru cik ngel cik tinir ju maju ne sha da tone music ya ki bezu chebres ti na se ki ani simju ya ki tablam kari me ta tablam di nalola cik chashi le chasu chagen de ju lu gengi ani ju chu ri de la yang ju chu ne kari sigi me da na se ki ju chu le na se ki And
one of our primary goals was to create an opportunity for you to kind of get the experience of running a study, and we're just so deeply impressed by the presentations you gave and the manner with which you carried out this research.
Thirty chebeka sabjong kola chik samdo ta kaptu rane chik shirim gi miyu de usungya chikla shirim gi chik miyu de usungya chikla ane malup chi chebda nyamdo number sola ungesu langle thone nyamnyo raya gi ani miyu sumbayis tende sumbo ti thone number so tande de tamshe na ya tande shimju cheya tamshe na ya nyamdo shimju chigi chene la lopti na du chen ko pyure di pyure shison ko ne tari nimani ringa number so ta jugde da bujigi number la ma tamshe na ko pyong de ani chigi tamshe na da re di ko ma pyeda re de korim chigda no de kange tola ajangi ani chigi iwan gu ro chita ani mosaki ko de son.
And one of the goals in carrying out a research project is to make sure it's feasible, that you can actually carry it out successfully.
투비아시다 투루야지 투비아지 이마지 이미 다야데 베케시고레스.
And one of the things that made these research projects really feasible is that you were able to do the research on yourselves or include your friends in the research paradigms. And that worked really well for this training experience.
그래 되게 내니 sab종기 총다디단데 우토네 아니 넘버스 최대기 토네 신주 주버에 대단 가네 툭툭툭툭기레사기 내단디 가리지기 내된 제버를나 넘버스 예열랑라 아니 냠슈난게로 보면고 예비인자 아니 루카기 소미 어레 냠슈난게로 심바 예비인자 소소 예세사고 가가래 나노라 소소 녀업자다 아니 지 데와타 타 툭사기 미나 예비인자 아니 심주 비차다 주비네 툭투비아직 땡케브레스.
As we move forward in conducting larger research projects, there's two things about about the recruitment of participants that we'll want to think about. The first is that we want to maximize or optimize what's called the generalizability of our study by including participants in the study who kind of represent the larger population of people as opposed to just our friends or people that we know.
아니 심주디 자신부지를 주고 열때 자신부지를 주버디 자신부 인버디 장가sam기 자신부 차버지고지기 아니 데버카마 마시비체니 자신부 인단디 이나로라 나조랑 hingi 아니 소미 쇼베토네 자신부 인버지 주트에 다시 장고레스 디체비나 디츠기 이나로라 아니 지 냠슈 난겐디 아니 지 가소레 나조랑 hingi 차기 여자 아니 지속이 차시 망부지 디나로라 센터부에서 그 지소랑기 삽천 투비하기 나바지 깨기레스 삽천 갈두 투비 중어이나 지성기 아니 삽천 투비하 중어이나 대체기 되는 토야기 줍더디 찔레파 아니 찔레파 갑투야 갑 아니 리버타 갑 초조 차기 요레스.
And then we'll also want to include the increase or enhance the reliability of our research projects. And for reasons that we'll learn later on, a really good way to do that is to have large sample sizes that really make our results more reliable.
근데 지금 maximize 해들어와 가수 슈도기 아니 시제 첨부지 돈에 두배째 시제 첨부 될라야 난 차진 좀 거야 되고 삼성이랑 신지 나소랑 신지 유튜브리 망고지 되나 되게 이번에 근데 돈에 심주 주샤베 아니 주된데나 지만이나 수수 지금 이덴 페야 지기 용담아요 디톨라 섬 당고래 이덴 페버지 용야 섬 당고래 이나 이덴 페버지 용야 and Robin, did you say reliability in connection with what?
Large sample sizes.
Oh yeah.
Or so I'm sorry, maybe Geshe, more participants, so more people run through our study.
Jenny, and the dinalo nyamshu nangeta ani simju tupsagi minamambo. Did you mean more subjects or more who run the research?
Yeah, no, good question. More subjects, more people on whom data were collected.
Oh yeah. Jenny, the 장도 tupsagi minadi 망고 chubo ina 대수기 아니 대수기 아니 두변들라 이덴 페로 차기 요리스.
But the way you ran your studies now was absolutely perfect for the training exercise we just did.
이나연 종다기 림반에 때비나 나버저 단도 tuk당디 콜콜한데 체가랑 신비 유대 요때 그 단대 내가 바베 tuk당 배 체롱 부 중요리스.
Is there another question?
Ni tuwa de ting, tanda ngangso di nye ke piche kaul sheyo di tanda raka tsangma ki tanda nye ke piche nye lang tang bayi na nye ke piche shin bayi wa tindi kaul de she jog da. Ta tindi in bayi na ra, tanda nye piche shike bayi na ni
가슴디 르카치기 단다 아니 만영일 단다 정립지 깔론다 드니 몽보싱이 샤네 아니 닌 드니 세타 드니 지엔다 다 드니 제바이나 페나가 깝고스간소 단다디 만영이기 자와지 긴제네 닐로 드니 동용다 더 닐로 드니 동용디 닐로 페나 정립진다바 아니 닐로노 땅네 소소 자유라만 제가 라얀다보다 티 마인비 멜로 장보 드니 야보시 미소나 아니 쇼게 닐로디 네 셈바 강홍롱다보 드니 용다 디기 아니 소소 셈바 바페보도 드니 제네 아니 리보 대와 드니 레용다 디소기 닐로 동바디기 니기 숙제들라 니 비세 심바 트요르도 아니 니 비세데 가르 아니 야르 동고요레스 드니지.
So my question is just about most of the researchers, most of the groups, when they looked into how any kind of intervention is affecting or impacting the quality of sleep, they accounted the occurrence of dream as an indication of something going wrong or as a disruption. Whereas that's where I have a question in that very often, and then at the same time, they included interventions such as like being exposed to the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama on one particular subject matter against another, whatnot, just before going to sleep. And from our own experience, we see that any kind of activity or any kind of a immersion that we fall into in the duration, in the soon before sleep, that seems to kind of make us more inclined in seeing something related or associated in the dream. And particularly in regard to being exposed to the teaching by His Holiness, the prospect that you could see His Holiness in the dream and having even receiving teachings, whatnot, we usually take that as a good omen and good happening, and that's have a positive impact on ourselves in that right then and there it generates a good mental feeling, as well as in the morning after you wake up, you feel physically relaxed as well. How would we account that as a bad impact of whatever intervention that we were subjected to? So my question is, where is our instructor's opinion on this?
Fortunately, we have somebody who knows a little bit about that.
Well, I'd like to first say I agree with the sentiment of this question and also the first question. I think you're pinpointing important issues. And as Robin said, these experiments served a great purpose to get us going on the process of doing science and as a starting point. So now we see there's a lot more to do, and sleep is very complicated. So we need to have many different perspectives on sleep. We need to make many types of observations to make progress and get to exactly what you're talking about with this question. I think to understand how our waking life influences our sleep. And then the other part that is interesting, how does our sleep then influence our waking life? So very complicated things. And yes, we need to be very sophisticated and continually working on how to make the right observations and to support conclusions that we can be confident about.
Jenny, thank you. Tandagi Jubanangan, Dingangi Jubanangi, Niga Gitone, and Jubadi Jabjongi, Socio Toshi of a Titola, Niki Gela, the pet Gajana Mutinangi, yes. The Tangudegi land, the game, Robin gives me and Tandanga Shinju Chawa Tubiadi, Ko Jongdagi, letting the Chashi Tone, Shinju Chawa Tugiore. 인자 토만에 직 딜라 체가랑 신기 견제다부 데이터 아니 가도도 망고 예비 이인바 강라 단데디 주베 디코 sabjong 디단 데여기 미유디 아니 마셰 지고 쳬베디 우에서 라랭 토네 뭐지 쳬 데기 미유 수메자 미유디 주베라 칸토기 요리나 양 심주 주당기 고유 찬제나 안다도 렉처 망고 쳬고 차기 요레스 덴나 시단다 지금 이거 되게 돈에 아니 도시 중원에 시 땡땡랑 겐라기 메트나기 카르스나 니디 요거 사오시데스 먼저 지 디데 마레스니 지 카나르지 이와 쳇 초조로 진지야 말이스 낭세기 니 코란레 아니 민다오 망고시라요 레스 is a Nasegi, Niki Puka, Niki Puka, Ni Korangi, Rangshila, Mola, Nasegi, Yaw Chekwe, Yokwe, Chekwe, Chagir, Kasin, Chea Yoris. Tesum do Mase, Ni Sebeka, we got Chakaritan, but Tiki, any Ni Kube, Nikabi, any Netala, a part who can't take it, Ni Kodan, Digi, two. Ni seven negabi, and in Yonso, the two should get it. You should get the Pennsylvania do yours. Is not the Davidone, big chickita, picture the very shinty, any Yamo to Chibitone, Yam to Chibitone, Himju Chevcaline, a Tesukanga, any chick, some Chilishane, any chick Casores, Shimjuki, a pound down of the any chicken to put on nobody chorus.
Another question? Maybe question for each other.
Non-president in the US, non-president in the US.
Penang so tanda de junju ke tangtho jero ti tangtho de me ke tangga de chede imba da yang chi tangga de ta yo ba chi ngulen chola ni thawlam na gyurum kana ji do nas.
So here's a question here. In doing this research, they have found themselves collecting data, and they have right away used the data to make an observation in terms of what is and what not. But that doesn't seem to be a complete story, because it needs to be verified in the meantime. And there must be some systems in place, some process in place in the West when somebody undertakes the research, and before it is being relied upon and kind of widely accepted. What kind of a process are they put through in terms of having some kind of a checks and balance and something like that for improvement on that?
Well, I'll say something briefly about that. That's a really great point. And so science is really a skeptical enterprise, as I mentioned earlier in the research workshop.
Subjung to be kabla gengi yang sumbai the careers lama theory ki lalenta ya jorwa theory ki lalenta ya di skeptical enterprise race chen lela buchi race lab chocho ta kelen che chocho che mayimba kari imba la ti ngen ji tokson de buchi ki thone ani tatan ji rangshu gi yote gen ji ki ani dodan che des.
It's so skeptical that in the philosophy of science, they say you never prove a theory, you just fail to disprove it.
Serigi Karil Sebunamsha Kari Chabine, Gigi Imba, Chuki Omaris, Labiores, Gigi Imba, Chuki Omaris, Gigi Maimba, Gigi Imba, what was that? They do not prove anything, but
so you never kind of prove a theory, you just fail to refute it. You fail to disprove it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Serigi Nyadon Kariruji Dilla. Ani tame do the chupten of Jini and Dugala, Yabadi, Tang and the Imba Truba in Telagiomaris, the Imba Target Chevin Sigomaris. The Tendici Maimba, Ani Kayanchik Maris, Lamatu Chason Sagic. Rest and Paget to go into the Maris Lamatu Chason second of Tendici Chagi or Sinda, Karinia Venebadi, that Tame and Domino Jabjitara is Lavia ki 30 khana yaw maris lapi passion ganye be de ki karis lavia lamna ji imba nge truba in sigi maris karina ji maimba de maris nga lamatu cha son singdos otende
So I'll just briefly focus on two ways that science implements that skepticism. The first is what's called peer review, which is before a paper would be accepted for publication, it would need to be reviewed by fellow researchers in the field who have expertise on that topic.
Peer reviews, peer reviews today round lokanyambe segura yana simju laga nyamdo shugen chigwe shugengi ani dikhola ani konsa da samjuda chela do karitu tajugo yores.
And they could reject the paper if they think it's not good enough.
Ani dede girin lata yindi kabi but dik juni pendo juni mendu juni chashasa je mendu chen lapsigres dede jebina parya gire wakona yomaris.
The second is what's called replication, which is when you run a study, then as the questioner mentioned, you want to rerun that study with different people and often in different settings in order to test how stable that finding is before you start to get comfortable that that theory or observation is real.
Desam to mase taji simju chebe tone taji simju jugen kwan zungweni ne di ani ji jachab la pa tabe chea ta ani padim chea gi tsembe tendi gi june ji yongda chembu soya gi ngela ji sön de ji khari chigres la na ji gi ngela di taji rimba chingran ji tube ji ani manji bi chene ji gi masim bi chene taji thara ani mina minda wata ani chubiagi neka sego neka minda wata de no no chubche ani taje tara gyurim taga chiboji jan tuba kanshi la chubsa di mi minda che chubiagi koryu do tis minda che de jen ta setting sung du peche koryu do bre de minda che la chubyo ne ani chubden chibo tungu de minda te che ji replication se du kola yanjo ji ikaso de joro che ne taje tara lenni sum chubne ani shine ani
Could I add one thing?
Please, yeah.
Thinking about to try to have firm conclusions, we also think about the results carefully to think if there are any weaknesses or flaws. And so replication, checking for flaws is very important.
Replication di replication study tamaji gi masi bachene tamani sum chumne ani to the capture chil du de ta chikse chesam do mase tumde thensha ba data ani taji gyurim jubeni barule anjo ship saboji tene de no la mi simbe tene nye to ya gyönse do de kare kare duwe no chuben do so do kare kare duwe dik pet mix tu ne rang tube ni simju chaware de ina ya pet but
we have a human tendency to have a little more doubt about findings that do not fit with our prior beliefs and ways of thinking, and then to have more doubt if it doesn't fit with our prior thinking. And so we have to be very careful about that because that could prevent us from making new discoveries. So we have to always try to cultivate an open mind so that we can evaluate and have new ideas that might make us change our way of thinking.
심주 자와다 랑기 통매 레바제원의 시기 심주 자와 대돌도 시기 sempat 지 초르근도 대마 임베 두변도 된다 델틱 다센도 위나 당분이네 지 카야로 마제로 된데기 시가지 요레스 디 시가 될라가지 뇌스비 토네 디 텐데라 심주 자와노로 디 마슈야 디 차시로 말아야기 랑 쭉 마투비아 쭉 마주야기 베주시고 그레스 도드나 아니 카소레 somebody but 당분에 당장을 붙이니 그러나 된데기 차단 조리다 조신다 된데기 thiên mà số mà chủ thôi này nên bắt 당장 cái thôi này nhằm chủ chế 주림도 주비하다 주부터도 마시 주베 주대 될 이야기 주된 데이네 가리네 연초를 다 선상 지금 와도 선배님 디로 전에 디 임버 쇼 선상으로 전에 이슈기 하면 되기요 말이지.
So we'll take one more question and then we'll have some closing comments. You don't have to do this, but you may want to ask one of your fellow students a question about their study. So feel free to ask each other a question if you have such a question, or you can ask us a question for this last question, whatever is best for you.
나도 저거 찍고야 그거 비기 저거 찍고도 중나 누가 남편도 그거야 제 그거 나스 그런데 내리지도 데 가리 뭐디 정말 선선한데 그거야 내도 나로체 중나 비나로체 디마존에 엔디게 되게나 또 가디 나로나 저거 찍기 주주 비기 있네 비슈고디 애니가도야 주dom기 제린들이 요리스
기den지가서 저술이 아니 갤러리 상보치나 낭로래 있어 갤러리 상보티
I have a question to group number 2's presentation. When they show video to the experimental group, the video of His Holiness Dalai Lama giving a speech, and the content of that speech, I think it is a very religious, content. And not only religious content, but also it is quite profound one. And therefore, I thought this kind of speech, the content very suits for the Buddhist, someone who has also, a little bit Buddhist background and also in the philosophy. Regarding to that, of someone like us, when we listen that kind of speech given by His Holiness Dalai Lama, it is very mind-soothing. And but I have been wondering that if we play that same video to someone who is not Buddhist, to non-Buddhist, I was wondering whether that will generate the same result, whether that will give the same result, or or that experiment works as it really worked to the Buddhist. So my question is, when we encounter this kind of situation, maybe it is not okay to generalize that Buddhist teaching has some kind of positive impact on sleep quality. And so my question to the group is, do you guys have any kind of plan or expectation to run the same experiment to other non-Buddhist subject? And another reason why I'm asking this question is because in the future, when we run experiment, I think most of our subject will be Buddhist monk. So maybe, our experiment gives some kind of result regarding to the subject, and maybe that is not, applicable to other subjects. In that sense, is it important for us to include, a more diverse background, subject? Is it necessary for us, to including subjects, lay people, and maybe, other someone, non-Buddhist and all these things? Thank you.
The under the Geshe Lotus Sambolaki Kandinayati, Ruganivala, Kandishubius, Ruganivas, 30 answer Lena, 30 Naruna, sending in Chivadi Kareslavna, number 2 Shimjusha, Tubekabla, Ponsogi, Sungju Nave, Ninji, Jembushibutone, Nimagu Konde, the Deji, Sunji, Tembetone, and it Jilly Yamsi. nyamjo chebati ani ni ki kugal kan de cheba jugu tu chene taje dimba tubje and tubden cheba kan sumboris ina ya didi ki ani peje na ya ki konso ki sungju ki nyenchin de je yong du nyenchin de sungju che ani chulu ki taru ta dewa che tezo no ma se nangde hajang ki sapo de limbu den de ta dewa yeba diye chi ki ani nangpe dengan nangba ibata nangbe deba ije yugen deme yugen dindel rubuchi ina ani tele chi yanen te ta minda chi yoya ta nasaba ina debu yoya ta kibu yoya chi yong choya chi rete ti chi tense di nangba ma ibata dinde ki jabjo juni megen chi debe ina dinde ki tumde chi go yong tuya gi kande injo yong yugu yojo mero dinde ki toko sagi tus ti sabe insa ani simju 제약이 규림지 찍어낼 때 아니 요새 찍어낼 때 줍서디 미심바지를 주버이나 하바도 남바 많이보다 그래지를 주버이나 준비 찍어 통그리 상구도에 한데레스 아니 되게 아니 이나 근데 이 심주 주버라 때네 아니 직 가서 지도기 아니 네 지도기 지도를 대비하기 아니 직다 직 타제로 제야제로 뒤 제야 따다 되기 요죠 매도 간대 인도 아니 근데 이제 나버스 아니 마오바 심주자와 주베갑이 네 디토라 아니 뭐바 시단데 주바 땅기 임베 양티 안데 두기 임베 다란 디기 도수관 개발 야마리 chen 두기 임베 디토라 공수가에 직대 인스 니버데 아다디 나즈루가 강가던 데와 차기도 당아즈 나다 마오바 심주자와 주베 인자 디 주베갑라 나도는 아주 주베하기 유의데 망쳐다 남백인이 저주도 차이어레스 디 인자 디게 토네 아니 심주 주베 주변디 가족직이 아니 지도를 봐 게도그래 와 진짜 지도를 링데 땅도그래 맞도 두고 말했어요 이 저버지레샤스 디 도가 예보다는 지금 이 로템브르 지메비나 아니 아주 심주제세기 유대양 아니 저준에 셴바 얘는 저준에 수바 이 마인베 심바토에 수바 대양 지기 남바 이민기 직대세 망부지 수바토네 직 줍서디 나소라 진짜 자신부지 용회지 자기메도 선거도 생각되도록 루관이베 공수가리에스
Hello. First, I would like to thank Geshe for this wonderful question. It's an honor that the research that we try to experiment at this workshop has draw some attention to this kind of experiment that we had. So we, the group number 2, as we mentioned in our presentation, the primary target of the participant that we try to get is not the monastic community. We try to do that experiment on the graduate teachers here. Of course, we cannot generalize the result, but we, as Dr. Robin has been reminding us several times at this period of this program about His Holiness' vision that it is a 100 years project. So we are at the beginning stage now, and His Holiness has also other amazing visionary that he feels that Buddhism is not just a religion. It can be categorized into 3 different field of studies, or whatever you called. So what we are involved right now is we are trying to generate attentions towards the categorization of His Holiness on Buddhist science. and also Buddhist philosophy, which is His Holiness consider that anybody can study and anybody can implement in their daily lives to improve their day-to-day life experiences. So this is one of our goals, but we had decided, not whole group, but I have a discussion with the Treshalumbo Science Center's head, who is also in our group, that we will continue this experiment, go on and then collect more data. And then if we have a substantial result from this experiment, we will expand it to lay community, and then especially initially to the Buddhist community, and then gradually, if we are able to give this test or do the test to non-Buddhists, and then the context of the teaching will be different, more secular, which they can understand, they can apply to their daily lives. So that's our goal. So I think I pretty much cover all the things. And then let me just remind you that the title that we pick is just to make it very catchy, to draw attention to it, because but we are not saying that it's only the Buddhist teaching that has impact on quality of sleep, but the meaning of that teaching, the teaching itself says that the negative emotions that arises in our mind, which disturb our peace of mind. So if you are really practitioner, the challenge that you have to struggle with is the emotion that is disturbing you. So as long as you are able to calm or remove that emotions, there is a way that you can be more peaceful, and you can say the side effect of that peaceful mind is maybe the good sleep without dream, deep sleep, the quality of sleep that we consider best quality is the deep sleep, where you get to the purpose of sleeping is to regenerate or recharge your body, to energy, to become more fresh. In fact, His Holiness always say that the best meditation is the sleep. Sleep is the best meditation. So that's what we are trying to focus on. So hopefully I covered all the questions that Geshe has raised. Thank you.
Hola, so. Nghe tambu de Geshe sambola la chua de ya bunda so tse shua is. Ai na yang tarang sha ge me nge le ya bu ke bindas. Taje. De ani tanda ada kita de yogi chwana tse shua ta chwana wa di ju ne de gi ani kyen cha yong so ya ta ani yang chi ge netan chi shipsabu chi takwa yob chi la tona so ko ya ti an Geshe bu shu res. kuna zu ruga niwa di pije nge chenya chena di ibka tanda tambu de la ani ma mage slides tempe kabla nge tambu mi yu chabi na ani simju de tage sanel yu de gi choda khane tebe seri gi gela na basola na ya di mi yu chu ina yang di chega de to se manji with the Yungu Kai Kunatu Yan Yamshi Shibet to Chashi Nagitu and the day Tonaji Tonyata Yam Tayata Tedeki or Tedek Yudu. This will be a serious to the Kela Kishla Sumashina, Ishing on Ula Sumashina, and yet Ambu Chachina, any Sendi against the number of told to wear cherries in a time do they and any Nangu Tuja to send Chevis. The different one. Today, on the Tome New Lay, those Yanjiki, Nato Ranji, Young Way, some of the project, a chair in there, and in the town from the Mazun, and some metro, some 인생을 섬기 대한 등에 누가 자인다 다 펜토나 타고지 아니야 또 렌라 뉴기나 타고마저나 다제네 때네 에 로빌라기 디포로데 양조 연조 아마도 전수단에 지라 아니 고수쇼게 나나주 레자디 세리 레자디 로자이 윤세기 인세리 레자이 소두 나나주 로자이기 아니 지 고도 야마리 나도 신의 정다 지를 갑레스 이자 아텐데기 아니 지기 내다만 보지라 디가만디 체다 마니 하바다데 니좀 보이고데티 딱고야지레스 아니 심주 제베 갑리네 체리 그다데요 심주 제베 갑리나 나주데 되어 예베 어도 땅나야 나주데 나세기 거기서 공신의 시제제 좀 체제 엔체 나주기 체리 나주기 뜻도 나주기 공주체 나니 나주기는 나주기 절룩세네 좀 체베 토네 당분이 비 아니 베제 된데 기타지 심주나 레야레마도 아니 믹수카네 남바란다 제다기 되어야 되게 비 베제나 레야 거라 말이스 니 이네 그냥 아주 심주 주베 갑리네 나주 네버 때부지 가르레비르나 송주에게 낭대 디기 펜도 두고도미도 따스라요스 이제 낭대 디 디급도 낭대 디 녀몬 카드 조던데 데베 낭대레 디 수르지 네 지랑 대화 되버지나 아니 카드 조고야지 녀몬 카드 조고야지 디 카드 차도베이나 디쪽이 아니 디기 용야지 다니 네 기본 용야지 용야 이베로 와스 근데 돈에 따지시 세기 시다 아니 송주에게 담가 제야 될 차차비네 디 가져 두도기 아직 신발에 빨갑지나 제사 유케 제롱야 유케 텐디지 섬타요레스 다이네 고주데 고주 거단디 간디스코에네 디 거단디 또야 고주 거버디기 신발에 도난구야다 데기 아니야 계산도 우주 시제 도나 고주 거베이스 텐데체니 레스 테네 단다 오래 텐데체지 아니 뇽몬 카페 저단데 여기 아니 낭데지레티 아니 지금 낭대는 제베 아니 심주기 준비 딱딱이나 디 수로지네 낭대 고고 낭대 고웨이나 고디 균에 준비 중단되돌라 이제 남바 이면 개발시다 유도카레 성구면도 되네 근데 니 야고를 코야 당자네 아니 되게 편도 유도면도 따야지 니 코야지 아니 게심부리 라바도 니 나로네 니 tubu 코야지 니는 매베 밀람 매베 니 tubu 코야지 아니 게심부시우레 되게 니 상부지를 찍고야 굉장히 가르려나 심주 자와든지 나로네 니디 regenerative 아니 그 프로세스레스 나비 루브 지게 누버도 지 카소야기 아니 말라지레스 카소야기 탑시지레스 제네 숨기열에 잘라 맞지 로로지 맞지네 메사야지로 디네시기 탑시지 루비 말라기 도다지레스 숨기열레스 근데 인자 아니 고소쇼기 칼로나 칼로이네 니기 밀람디 니기 내조디 숨고이나 니기 검스다 근데 기질라기 베지다이나 니기 검디 검나는 야쇼레스 송송 숨기열스 송송 근데 인자 근데 토네 아니 디지 고단로디 아니 고 근데 인지레스 이제 근데 토네 제네 아니 니기 다지 제베 토네 다다 니 상료 다 근데 토네 다지 셰다 니 제단데 니 고소쪽이 다 걸로 숨주이 임바시라 그대와 요새디 디 남된 도시 제다 디 남된데 디디 담야디 녀몬단데 대와 예부디 다 도시니 아니 칼카즘기 나니 고 제발라 파급 제네 제투에 요게 레 이네 다도 원도디 고tum 고마디 자테네 다도 피타카 제라 하이레스 어떻게 손소
Geshe, your memory is outstanding.
Look, I have these notes here.
So
that's like the perfect way to segue into our final thank yous with a reminder of the fact that this is an ongoing 100-year project, and with the idea that many of you are excited about continuing your research.
딱 아주 비슷한데 아니 저거들은 제약이 참 샤야 참 따다야 붙이 계속 아주 제 전수 양주 따야지라 근데 레차디 별 로자 이런가기 아니 마타이 별 로자 투비하기 레차지 임버지라 전수 스텝스 나 근데기 주네 아니 딱 심주 무튼에 나야다 안디도 아니 균이 뒤수 야기 무튼에 따야 근데기 아니 공세 나야 Lindas.
And so we'd like to finish with just a few moments of deep appreciation and gratitude.
Ani kela nabani ta kela kono simba tu nyamru tone tanda ande tuju tu sungwe tone namatu kangal ti kadin samshi ti sampatiya ta ni dushitiya la ani tarji sigis.
I'll say for me that it's just been a real privilege and an honor to work with Nicole and everyone here to have the opportunity to spend these days with you. And thank you so much for attending this workshop.
Da toma de gen robin la gisunga chene toji se sunga dang kongi ani semto ro kar chumo de dan de chen kamen sunga de la ani gen Nicole la gi sembe ani nampa su kange ani chandu nyamde gi ro na ba tu ne dalengi yurim de hajang gi ani chi ge tonan chimbo ta ani ka do chimbo ani chi lo ke chimbo de sung sung ani nampa su kange ti do nyam su na ba ti thone cha she la che ani du na ba de toji se shwayis.
So like all of you, we'd like to start off by thanking His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, for really establishing the foundation and the vision for this wonderful conversation between science and Buddhism.
Number two, kange any to the tamche na ka jugum de tuje le su shibe ka la nge tamu de konso chol tende ra relation sambe ko ni tuje le bu ki na jenje tuje se shibe na shi kena number ni gi ne konso chol tuje la me tu ches sen de pe ka tin sam ji ting sem ting ne ko je tu shue yi konso chol gi pu gyang ring bu konso she dang ge to ne dan de le sa nya ga chen bu shi de gi mong shi bu ji mo de ne shi bu ji tem bu ji tu na yo res.
We'd like to give a special thanks to the Emory-Tibet Science Initiative, a very deep bow of gratitude to Geshe Lobsang for his remarkable vision in really making this all happen, and a very deep bow of gratitude to Setan La for all of the work that she does to make these moments happen and really run the ETSI program. So thank you so much.
Ani tochi lekso shue yin kongi uti lamden go one anda lesha to hajangi ani chi cha su bu ta mani chi gong ji bu shin du gu yoris ate nang se gi ani pyogi emori ta pyogi seri lerim gi miksu karwe genji gunji seden to wala la nani chamji ta shi tele shue ta tochi she shue yin ani chi ki ma chi person ani chi ki parin de jo kanga gong ji bu shi wa ta ani chi ki net tu chita mangu chi ko la kuna na je ani chi kanga pet cha su shu chin to de ani kongi ani tungen she be to ne lam den ka lu na de na kan chu.
And we'd also like to thank the people who really, set the foundation for the first stage of the ETSI program, in particular, Ari Eisen and Carol Worthman and all the other faculty members who did so much to really build the intellectual community of the Emory-Tibet Science Initiative.
Ne tande ko bi sung we to ne Emory-Tibet seri lerim ki lopchi nang ge ki gen number ma bu chung we na lo ne to thoma ne ani chashi shegen ta ani nyamshu nang ge ki ani ke Ari ta ke Carol Worthman ki chembe ani ki gen 다동이네 즉 사실 무튼이 나 생긴다 권한도 강가라 아니 도지 렉스슈에 있어.
We have a lot of people to thank who helped shape this workshop, and I'm going to point out 3 in particular.
아니 again 이걸라기 믹스에 달랭기 research 기 심주기 subject인데 여기 아니 직 롭지 난겐기 쳔베 차시 세네 공티야다 방가라 저와 이데기 미나 코나도 방가리스 미나 디나로네 숨지 미수 두제 아니 투지세스 방가라 슈베다 님도 코나도 미가 투지세스.
First, Ken Paller and David Goldberg have spent an inordinate amount of time with us over the last 2 weeks, helping guide your projects and teaching all of us. And we are so very grateful to both of you.
Nge tampote Ken Paller David Goldberg nila. Tuji shue karesna kona ni gi Tandeki subject during nalola gonne jupatu ani nyamshu nabe tone shashi shebe tone and the chiki guide nayata lamde nayata tene paru paru la kap kamkela ani lukchi nayata tende shashi sheso ani tuji message share.
And then Tenzin Panzangla, you've spent so much time on this, not just these 2 weeks, but over the last couple of months. And you made this workshop where we're in 2 different countries possible, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Kongi ni tande ki subjong tube tuda ni nyewe ani subjong tube kapchiko mai bati ngwe ki dawa mangbe ngwe la thati ani dinna be kap ki dawa mangbe ringa thati na kap ta kap ne sungde hajang ki ani chashi suk chembu cheje ti to pet pet suk je ni kuti na ya de na yore tede na to ne tande ki dirim di shida ki lamlonda lambushi chene ya wo chendo so tende yinza gen kona de tadu ine ma o bala gen da sungde to ne en chale na ya da tende la the sim pet tona da je to ko de yi.
And I should say that 2 years ago, Karma would have had no idea that he would know this much about Zoom, but he makes it all happen.
Tene Kamala tende la Loni sungali na Kamala tande ki Zoom ke to tang ke tan de yo ki shese ta chik nyamnyon da ti tex yo maris ni direte talen de chik dena mandu ne lega khore ki mobe to ne meche thame to ne go kyu go cha ji kibel tene hajang ki da se bata ni chik ko ti ne la ne ta kebo speciale bana chi cha ji du chung je mo zo pen do shi chung.
So as I've always said, and I'll always will say, that one of the many things that really amazed me about the Emory-Tibet Science Initiative is the translation team. So I want to give a, well, yeah.
Tene tanda ke robin la sunga chena tengane du se ya ya sungu yu tende ra sem na ta ra ko yu Emory-Tibet ke cheri le rim gi rim di na lo la lo ta ve chashi di lo ta ve che di te pinang gi nyam chu ta shamde ki rimbati hajang gi pe yol du me che res chene tadu ine ta ne bu chen shuya ins.
So I want to give a special thanks. We want to give a special thanks to Geshe, to Dawa, and to Sandhu for all that you did to make this workshop happen, and all that you do for ETSI and for this really rich conversation between science and Buddhism. Thank you so much.
Today is again Robin la ta ani nga kanga nyamru bu thone kona do la ani to ji session shwai kona de chale ni pet chita bo ya bu nambe during the thone ni thande chaw do pa mo tu che da ra tu che ni tu ya bo shida ya bo chung yo re de ni to ji shwai ni.
So one of the greatest things that has come out of this workshop is to see how the graduate science teachers have both sort of embraced the teaching and learning of science and have taken leadership roles over the last 2 weeks.
And then I do check Emory-Tibet cheri le ring ki check ta lo ka she nang gi metan do te bi na ani tanda di na lo la ani chale na lo shu ken ki sane sato su cheri lo tem ba ken kuna to ki chase kan de shi gi bata ani pendo ka to yu gi bata ani nyamru ka de nang gi bata te ngwe se te chu cha yo res kan ge din la is that the Google Fuji Kangal pet some and
and we look forward to working with you in the future.
And number 2 to pet mutuje any chale Sunday kon chale nayala any tona champion on the is.
And we want to thank the Drepung Losling Meditation and Science Center for, as you all mentioned, being great hosts for this event, both for you in person and also for us virtually.
Jenny, number 2 kange dito central lengman na shi che de bono se nengi computer theory kine kan ki to ne tande ki satong de ti sembe le shi ma bu na ro la hajang gi ani pet se tondu ani tunjo ro nam na yo ris ani Titola,
This is such a historic center, and we are very hopeful that next time we teach this course, we'll be with you in person. And following your lead on all of your gratitude signs, we want to give a special thanks to the cooks that kept you so well fed. We know how well the food is, and we can't wait to taste it ourselves soon.
And finally, thanks to all of you. You have embraced science throughout sort of your ETSI training as a whole. But right now we are seeing you sort of develop as scientists and researchers. And we think that the next couple of years are going to be great because of it.
Number two, Tandapatu, any emory-tibet lerim chashi share tone, any jigdi, any cases to be a tola, Shiragi, some day lapsing to Nayore, and mix to Kane, Talengi, Sapong Tola, Yamsu Navati, Gune, any jiggy, Mik Tonsaranla, and Shiragi, when to be a teaching, but a tea tone, and the Lonisum in Alola, better considered chain, considered G, Abuchayo, Hazard, Bet Chayo, Sentanda Bet, Revolution with Koyaki. Yet under this chart was in the Pemiside, Kavota Lotavichuni, Mutuchi number to the young Gardana Chichen, today,
Yes, thank you so much.
And number to
And so now I think Setanla would like to say a few closing comments.
Thank you, Robin and Nicole, for your great comments. Well, this was a very productive month. The presentations were incredible. It is deeply inspiring to see so much growth and development in such a short period of time. And I definitely see this effort as one step closer to ETSI's vision of making science education program in the monastic institution self-sustaining. And this is a result of many hours of intense and concentrated efforts on the parts of the teachers, the students, the staff, and all the support.
gang che chung de mare cho mangune and champion de che de tone any begin mango reasonable then chung de
And on behalf of Gishla and the program, I would like to take this opportunity to thank every one of you for your contributions.
Today, Geshe Shingen Nalola, thank you to Nalola, Gela, number 2, Topi Nangan, so the Kudi Nangan, so the Sashi Nangan, so the Pinjuro Nangan, and Sigmas doing the turn the mountain Kangaki, any Chashi, or Resti Konga to Sheshuata, Alabado Talengi, Coca Piso with Tone, Kishiro Sanlagi, Kusab Shibutone, Mararangi, when the Chashi Nangan Kangaton to the chess and shrines.
Robin and Nicole, thank you so much for conceiving, planning, and developing this training, but more importantly, for your contributions in the building, in building our sustainability phase program.
Robin Lata, Nicole Lala, Miss Pani, and they subjongi, Curimdang, subjongi, Kuba, Dotan the Tome Concha of Tangenta, any pound of chicken, the Conanides, teach with them to Mase, Tibuti, Hilachan, Lalen Tabitone, and the Munera Chiki, to Tembu Chigitone, Lalen get to the Tola to the station.
And we truly believe that this path that we are on will lead to creation of new knowledge, to bringing bridging complementary systems of ideas, thoughts, practices, and ultimately to the flourishing of the entire humanity.
Consuchogi, any Togong, Urban Shiche, Tendera, Koto Sabatang, Koto Savati, any Chigi, a Terry, the Nansu, the Sembe, any Chulu, Taru Wagi, any Pensi Shong de Chiagi, the Shamdeki, Kone Kondu, Konton Royatam, Tido Tune, and Tamen Dute, Roamichi, and Kedula, Hajangi, Pet Supumede, and then to the Tumbu Tuyaki, Ejis.
And I would also like to thank Ken Paller, an integral part of this training, and a beloved faculty from the implementation phase. And our guest faculty, actually, our unit leader, Meena Balgopal, Jenny Mascaro, James Glazer, Charlie Lane, Dee Wright, Michael Martinez for sharing their expertise with the monastics and thus enriching this learning experience.
Tanda subjong kurala chashabi any chilone any kundu gusuki tamshen angi kunaz maguji tendiyoris the chigning it send me to and that signal me number 2 was to na ta je yore kunandu kangala ani ches juata ti kune taring chik subjong ki neseta subjong ki pukata ani tumde control na yore kunandu.
And I also want to acknowledge with deep gratitude the dedication and support that David Goldberg has contributed to this workshop, and also for leading the ETSI peer mentoring program here at Emory.
Again, David Goldberg tola any project session yikong pandengi ngadi simju ki kaso sabjo di nalola ngachi basum yamsu na yore ani khadu ne chi goya chugui na peke tan sujo chene charo na je dipchene shamde tu yore desam do ma se sane sato rang la Emory sane sato rang li ne peer mentors chene ta ngana se de lo ni ringa pegingi tenji ja su seri ki ani khasore seriki loku namla ani Quran su jeyu ki lobjon share ki labshi ti zu tola pa su to pe ta de ki shamde roram chen su su tu chen su se pair mentor chen de ki rukaji yore rukaji ki ande ki rukaji ki uti na be tone go chi na be tone ani ko shamde nangi yore dile tu ji se shuanis.
Of course, it takes hundreds, thousands of people to build a program of such magnitude and promise.
Tanda nashiki leshi kashimbo shu chiki leshi de rigdi any chik nge tambo ko chik tawar suche any ko junjong ya taw de la mit ja tang tong tang de any tang deve any chan rorom de chaji mena tumudu is.
And there's no way I can thank them individually to everyone who believed in His Holiness' vision of bringing science into centuries-old Tibetan Buddhist academic institutions and contributing to ETSI's efforts in realizing it.
Karesna kunantu chashi nyamru chebtone chingushu yusumne chashi lambata shonde chebti june an konzo shogi chiki pugyan ringbu kesen chimbu shuchiki lechati ani thoma ani lenche ani nganju tanglenche tone ti chik tawaru suge che tawaru ti june ani chik ta yaki kompe tang tone ta tanda nganju ina ani gyun singya tang chik saten soya ki samutang la petition ne tu ani pendegi mina mangboki ani nyamruki sashi lambati tone chungbochi imbati meme gubde ani kan sangala kante tisuti tone ani chenshe tende tone kana do trains.
But our hearts are filled with gratitude to all our faculty, our unit leaders, past, present, our staff, administrators, every stakeholder, and most importantly, our monastic students who bravely are embarking on this academic journey.
Tene ni tande glesha di deyoki ni chache langeng nalo la dezen de chane shebina gigengi dezen de yores gigen nalo ne ya mi sukane game mixe le tone ani je ruga su uti langeng gen de yores ani din shin gi ani chiki chik kasore ta leje de yores gong de chi chia da de tone ani chiki tang hasore also jinjongi leje yoris tenashi ani yang chi penjo ta de tone chi shimba khay ma june chi yabore cheni pa samsu ta je leksu shu je de tone gyabyo nange de yoris ani di kangla nabaso pete hajangi chashi dit leja dita pete jail du me ka jail du me chashi kesim shu chik de nabaso dina chashi shebe tone di chi during dinner shuje ni kaso kodo da lobso da dinge tone ani ji changlo gegengi nabaso peti ki chashi gechibu shuchadi is.
I do not remember who had said this quote, but I think it's so apt for this occasion.
Then it is an nabaso kangal to ji shueta ani tanda dida de yogi nge chayala chiki lungden de ji dos ni lungden de su na ba yiming de chingmi dos.
And it goes like, coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success.
You would have to repeat this one more time, please.
Sure. And it goes like, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success.
Whoa. Then like the Lungdenayagi, Lungsik de Dendesha. Coming together is beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. I know what I'm doing.
So what I meant is,
yeah. Let me translate this. Let me try. Let me give it a shot.
Go ahead, Geshe.
강가 냠으로 제야 돼. 레가르지 뭐지 고추 그래스. 냠으로 제베도는 고추 그요레스. 냠으로 제베도 많이 냠으로 이 버지니 돼야 돼. 나 야게 누구 따레스. 냠으로 제베지고 많이 냠으로 제베도네 레가 냠도 제용데 다 람롱치 버레스.
Yeah, so we have come together, are keeping together, and are working together. So success must be imminent.
근데 아주 제야 돼 다가나 레스. 맞아 냠도 루루 제브레스. 냠도 데브레스. 냠도 레가 제브레스. 나디 tum데라 람로 요에 디다 땡케브레스. 도그도 메브레스.
Now I want to say a few words in Tibetan. Let me.
그게 더 숨기.
loktu changmalo ning thakbone tuji chena shwe yin geshla ta program ki sab shwe chene nambu zo tuje tundu china duda sum nanglo la kule mangbu chi gye chene en thanda nambu zo presentation de zo dus jera de une samba nanglo la jik ka zo chenbu ji dobo chenbu ji changmalo yagushida chungsu samsam de chungsu
이진아 누구래?
geshla yunana ra.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, now let me put another hat. Jenny, yes, my thanks, my heartfelt thanks goes to all of you participants here, because in this very short period of 3 weeks, I could see spectacular progress, and it was very evident, unavoidably evident in your presentation. And on behalf of Geshe Lobsang and myself, I want to sincerely congratulate you.
지당아 도시니 창문 안녕쇼 제 종마스테 인행에 가시 지도스 따이 총수 땅아주 교부 공생 고주 요선자 신다도 저용하다 따이기 도시니 차시 인슈에
I wasn't personally able to participate in each and every one of the sessions, although I was able to kind of hop in occasionally and got the opportunity to be part of the experience. But now that over here the holiday season is beginning, and I'm looking forward to really checking all of those, looking all of those videos that have been recorded and archived.
지단 넘버 쪽이 캥그레 ETSI 기 레자디 고주니 니동게 고주 신다 탄들 로줍시 두스 코요레 and din ang again dropping like sungona shi gege mangbu chige kule kyore zo kyamgero mu chige thuji kadin tha na shi geshe lobsan la da geshe la to la na bani gi to sine di kang la mixe shu kyen chin le ja den de go zu thube tha na shi gege mangbu shu chige di kang la ta chig lobti na gi to chale na ta nga zo tha da daily tu kas la ma chig si chine khang ba ma su na chig bu gya be chi yo ro di kang la chale na gi mangbu shu yo di chang ma gi chig kadin do chi tembe tho ne 아니 아주 등교 제인슈에
Yes, as you all know, I almost slipped in saying Tibetan. As you all know, ETSI formally began in 2008, and through these years up until now, for the last 14 years, we have all worked together in bringing this program to this point where we see it so promising and so promising and so rewarding as well, but very promising for the future, for the longer future. In this regard, we all need to remember the role and the vision of His Holiness Dalai Lama that he played in conceiving this, and then really kind of gathering the momentum around it, and inspiring so many others to kind of be part of this, and making this kind of take root and grow this to this level. Likewise, Geshe Lobsang Tenzin La and as well as Geshe Hatola have a great role in coming to the ground and working on it from the very inception to kind of really shaping it. Likewise, so many of the faculty members have been involved in this all throughout, and it is very pertinent and imperative for us to remember what its history has been, what it involved in bringing it to the level that it is, and we have all reason to be looking forward to the bright future that is going to happen from all of these efforts being converged together.
Penetration the number 2 the yaga subjoin in by in a gige mambuji pegure number 2 kengure tanga to chasha or shina gige any tanda digzu gado gune any gige jidan pebe reation tanga tin shibgel ha chau du ro miga she tema yangsen se pero shinda gige kra ki tanga do dina any nige tu si do sim peyure shwe.
Just to give you an idea of the grandeur, the grandeur, the extent of this program. Take just the summer program only into consideration. Up until now, from 109 institutions, different institutions all over the world have been part of this. And in terms of faculties who have really come on the side and taught us and impacted this program, if we were to count the frequency of their arrival, then it amounts to some 400. But if we consider the individual people separately, then the upwards of 206 have been involved in this.
Ni ETSI ki tanda gindibegi leja cha shaudachina ni begi pensu khand sungde cha yore tanda zume leja yimbayina ni zenjo dizu chuden libo thana shi begi pensu khand du sin sungde ki leja chi cha de yor.
In terms of this this particular endeavor, when it comes to the monk component of it, it has always been a collaboration between the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives and ETSI. When it comes to adding the nuns project, nuns component to this endeavor over some time ago, then an additional institution, that is the Department of Religious and Cultural Affairs of the Central Tibetan Administration, has been investor in this project, together with the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives and ETSI.
Ni tarin di kogablen chimi nambu zo tanda di robo charo nangye tanda chosa de bunglo siling labo du chanzu gishi banden la tagana shi tingzi pasan la ta tingzi pasan la charo nangye konzu mangbuchi yore nikse du tanda gindiba mangbuchi song tabzang majen la gishi la ya usu du song chezang dinal chale nangye mangbuchi uchi yore changmo lo tuji che na shwe.
And at this point, I do not want to overlook the very crucial role that the administrators of the Nusslock Monastery played in this, as well as the staff member on the ground of the meditation, the Nusslock Meditation and Science Center, as well as the cooks. I'm very sure that they must have played a very important role, that everyone is so profusely thankful of them. So they must have really fed you well to kind of sustain through this program the way you did. I want to thank all of them.
아니 냠도라도 공부주기 개름부체 넘버 다나시 사이언스 텐지기 겐지 넘버 상물로 투지체나 쉬인 레자디 고모주 단다기 sab종 고모주 코네 타디난고에 망부 쉬우지어랑주 가들리고 쉬나야 창막에 하루 버루나 지네 할레기 펜도 전부 중어서 닝타고니 투지체나 쉬.
And likewise, our thanks goes to the abbot of the Nusslock Monastery, as well as all others who were involved in this, because whenever we have some project, some program to implement on the ground at the monasteries, whatnot, there is a whole series of processes to go through in kind of having them sanctioned, having them okayed, and that involves dealing with all of these officials and all of these stakeholders in this enterprise, and every time they have been so supportive and they have been so helpful in making everything happen.
아니 다른 미세 띵어주 graduate 기겐 솔더 넘버 2이나 템마 당부 띵어주 루루 친도 차레나이 디 차테 요레 manzu ki lejar ki miyu sungba nangshi manzu ki sogyong chiwe ribo dikabla nambu tsugi charo nang chini tsinri ki lopchi nai yine re antike la shimju kasla khari charo nang gugu yune chidang kuran kumbe ki nang la tsiri ki lejar kang la yine re mangbuchi la chale nai ki dus manzu ki thongmai chashi yobo nangshi chi nambu tsu pe yabu nang su tuji chen nang shwe.
And special mention is due to our Pension Gyalzo scholars graduates. Is that
the graduate science teachers? The newly,
okay. The graduate science teachers who have taken charge over the past few years and have been so actively involved in this project, and we can very clearly see how their participation and presence has made a big difference, and they have always been very, very supportive and forthcoming in any ways we would ask them for their participation, for their role, and for their help. And so a special thanks is due to them.
No, any judom del the pije Geshe tanda kekyu Geshe tawa nambani la mixi gi tuchi chena shue yi ngadu tanda tsinri gi tablam chongda gomazu khonla ani gyurgi chongda di dosini pyu yore Geshe nambani susu jinda thadi che yine re di kabla gyur koena tawa ni has de hale gi thela chimbu na yore cheza mixi gi tuchi chena shue.
Special thanks to these two great translators who have worked so hard. And before this workshop, they had conducted the translation workshop as well. And for that, lots of efforts went into planning for this, conceiving it, and then personally preparing the materials for them. And they conducted it so well. And so their active, very busy involvement in this series of workshops spans over 2 months, something like that. So have really put in a lot. I'm speaking for Dawala.
Ni kamala tuchen island shue yin tanda zida sobe kaps la tato ni kari robo nang ko na changmulo haru baru na so gela namba zo changmulo debo chimbuchini yabu chonso yin dangbo ni tuchen na shue.
And my colleague Kamala, who has really stood by all the time we needed him and have really proved very helpful and very productive, very helpful, and has really kind of steered us through the path by really getting all of the technical components in place and arranging everything beforehand so that we could have a very smooth run of everything in time.
당한테 단다 비디오 리코딩 지워디 가지고 교부지파 도신 지당한테 유튜브 나 샤기올 때도 유튜브 같이 단다 남산 샤도 요네메네 단다 리코딩 카리오데 룩두존다 파직시에 요지 수기이 파라라양 직시로 조나다라 단다 셈슈 첨부 망부 직전에 고엘라 근데 능신이 초토는 야부도 뒤적된 전에 체동안에도 삼다디 배편도 전부 총서 셈슈 망부게 되었는데 지 고소 제사에 파라라시에 용 두벤스 레이팅도.
And as you all know, we have recorded the whole proceedings, and they will be very soon archived and made available on YouTube like that. So while you have interest, very fresh and whatnot, I would encourage you to take out time in checking them wherever you feel like you needed to go back and then remind yourself, recall yourself of things that you had been exposed to. So that's something I encourage you to do. I have had so many wonderful positive feedbacks from you behind the scene, and everyone is so appreciative of how this all went, and we are looking forward to many more of such programs. So we will look into such possibilities as well. But on your part, do make sure to avail of these archived videos so that they would keep on contributing to our program.
네, 단남부터 산이 나니도 스타로 비디오 레쿠수 투자나로나 아니 나랑 계획이 쉬에라 Maran dela dinde kogab rawa del gishla idi gishlop san la yidu sine kogab na de ngara semba ding ne chik kazo chimbu chi da ngara pobo chimbu chi dinde chi tsorgu yo je za zo di nambu zo re ani tuji chen na shwe ani gela nambu zo tanda ETSI ki gege mabu shu ji pe yo re lhagbo du gege thoma go zu du ni ge ari ice ni ne re Carol Worthman ni ne re marangi ukran zo la tadi was like gege ngi nambu chimpus tagi.
So very soon you will be heading back to your own respective monasteries. I urge you all to take all precaution on your way and be safe on your way, and wish you all the best going forward. I personally am really moved and touched every time I reflect on this, that I have been given this opportunity to serve you in this capacity, primarily to Geshe Lobsang who trusted me and who trusted me and placed his confidence in me, and I always rejoice in this opportunity of serving this program, and it always fills me with a sense of joy as well as a sense of kind of commitment and dedication and confidence in doing my best, seeing the benefit that comes out of it. And so every time I come in front of you in relation to this program, and I had no choice but I'm hopeless but be reminded of this wonderful coming together of so many auspicious conditions together, and this gives me added inspiration to serve to the best of my ability, as well as filled with gratitude to everyone involved in this, including the very founding faculty members involved in this who have stayed with us through the years, such as Ari Eisen and whatnot. And towards them, I have myself developed as a spirit, a teacher-taught relation towards them because of their service to you.
So, tuji chena.
Thank you so very much.
So everyone wants to thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you want to take the picture or?
That sounds good.